Even though Skyrim and Oblivion take place 400 years apart, there is one thing that is consistent in both games.
Bad combat mechanics?
Well, yeah, that.
A poorly written story?
Okay, there's a lot of things that are consistent between the two games, but Daedric princes and their quests have been a staple in the Elder Scrolls games, appearing in Daggerfall, Morrowind, and the two most recent installments, Oblivion and Skyrim. Today we're going to take a look at Clavicus Vile, the Daedric Prince of Wishes and Bargains, and his quests in both Oblivion and Skyrim. We're going to compare the two quests to see how similar and different the quests are, or even how Clavicus has changed in the 401 years between Skyrim and Oblivion, and how the game designers have changed the character in the 5 years between the two games' releases. Let's start with the older game Oblivion, which is 14 years old. Yep, 14 years. In 4 years, Oblivion can vote. How does that make you feel? Makes you feel old, right? I remember this game when I was in middle school, and I'm 25. Yeah, doesn't feel good. If you want to start a Daedric Quest in Oblivion, you'll have to find the Daedric Shrine for that Daedric Prince. Clavicus Vile Shrine is located southwest of the Imperial City. Once you get there, you want to talk to the Khajiit Marashka. He will ask if you have business with Clavicus, and you'll explain that the price to bargain with Clavicus is 500 gold.
A mortal! Wonderful. Always a pleasure. Perhaps you'll do a service for me, mortal, and I'll reward you. A fair bargain, don't you think?
Clavicus will strike a bargain with you to find the Umbra Sword, which houses the soul of the hero Umbra. He tells you to begin your search in Pel's Gate, which is right down the road from the shrine. As you leave for Pel's Gate, the voice of God will appear from the heaven. Actually, it's Barbas, that dog that was on the statue. He's somehow teleported into your backpack, which you don't have, and lets you know that you made a bad deal going after Umbra, and tells you to walk away. He gives you some really cool lore, though, about how he was a Redguard, and after that he was a scamp that made deal with orcs, but now he is Vile's hound and servant. Once at Pel's Gate, talk to Irok the Wide.
The Pel's Gate? What brings you around here?
He might not like you, so you might have to go through Oblivion's little stupid minigame to make him like you, but after all that fun, he'll ask if you're after the sword or the person that goes by the name Umbra. He then explains that the sword can steal the souls of people, and it took the soul of his apprentice, Linowin. And now Linowin is in possession of the sword and has become bloodthirsty and started to call herself Umbra. He says he hasn't seen her in years, even though people have seen her literally right down the road at the Venisel ruins. He then warns us that she's dangerous and to be careful.
If you seek her out, take care. She's a powerful one, or at least that sword is. I'd steer clear if I was you.
So now at the Venisel ruins, which may or may not be guarded by a mage with Daedric spiders, because it was for me. But inside the ruins, nothing's really going on. It's just a couple rats, some mud crabs, nothing too dangerous. But at the end of the ruins is Umbra and her camp.
You risk much by speaking to me. You should leave this place now.
Talking to Umbra, she tries to act all scary and tells us to leave and that we're risking our lives by just talking to her. She's kind of an edgelord and talks about how edgy she is and how she slaughtered and fed the souls of not only men, but women and children too, to the sword Umbra. And blah 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 blah. If we ask her about Pel's Gate, she goes even more emo, and she's like, "This isn't a phase, Mom. This is who I am now."
It was another lifetime. It was before I became what...
Once she finally stops talking, we have a choice of either leaving now and going back to the shrine, or fight Umbra and take her sword. Barbas tries to convince us to leave and tell Clavicus to deal us off.
This is your out, friend. Leave it alone. How about we just march on back to the shrine and tell Clavicus the deal is off?
If we tell Umbra we're leaving, she will say some more emo stuff.
I have spilled too much blood already, and though I hunger for more, spilling yours would not please me. Go now. Do not return.
And Barbas will tell us we made the right decision.
Good move, kid.
When we return to the shrine, Clavicus is pissed.
You dare trifle with me? Take care, mortal. Clavicus Vile watches you now and waits.
being a kid, back to being his hound for me. As for you, good luck, I guess. I've met worse.
If we make the not stupid choice and tell Umbra we will kill her, she turns hostile and the fight begins.
Come then, try your luck. Feel the bite of Umbra.
After the fight, we can pick up her special ebony armor and the Umbra sword. When we pick up the sword, Barbas warns us not to give it back to Clavicus,
Don't bring that sword back to Clavicus.
and he says we should keep it if we want. The Umbra sword is a one-hand blade that has a soul trap enchantment. Pretty neat! And now back to the shrine. When you're back at the shrine, we have a choice to either return the sword or keep it.
You brought the sword. Now give it to me. As we agreed, Umbra and I have unfinished business.
If we keep it, Clavicus yells at us and threatens us, but we get to keep the sword.
Bargain, little hero. You would risk my wrath for a pitiful little sword? I will be watching you, mortal, and waiting.
If we decide to give him the sword, against the advice of Barbas, the sword is taken from our inventory and we get the Mask of Clavicus vial.
Now, I have business to attend to. Run along. Perhaps I'll be looking for you again.
The mask is cool, I guess. It's kind of weird because it's just like some dude's face with a beard and it's got horns. I don't know. I kind of like the Skyrim mask instead, but this mask does fortify personality by 20 points, which is neat. But that's kind of the end of the quest. And in my opinion, it's not bad. The quest rewards are pretty good and you have a lot of different decisions. You can either keep the sword or you can get a mask. You can kind of weigh the option what you think is best. The mask might not support your playstyle, so you take the sword. Or if you think the mask is cooler, you take the mask. The one thing to know is that if you want the Daedric artifact, you have to get the Clavicus vial mask. The sword doesn't count as a Daedric artifact. And there's a quest later on in the game that you need a Daedric artifact for, so keep that in mind too. But now, since we're done with Oblivion, I guess it's on to Skyrim. To start the Clavicus vial quest in Skyrim, you need to travel to Falkreath. When walking into town, a guard will ask if you've seen a dog outside the town in the woods, and you can tell him the truth or kind of be a smartass with him. Regardless, the guard will tell you to go visit the smith in town, Lod.
See a hound on the road. Fine, strong creature that's been wandering near town.
Lod wants the dog to be his fierce and loyal companion because Lod is a very lonely man. He asks you to get the dog, and you can even ask for some coin to complete this task. He'll give you the coin and give you some meat to attract the dog. With the meat in hand, you can head out on the road leading into Falkreath to bait him in. Once the meat is placed, a dog will appear and start talking to you. The dog is Barbas, the servant of Clavicus Vial that we met in Oblivion. He now looks like a normal dog instead of a demonic-looking Daedric dog that we saw in Oblivion, which is kind of lame, but Barbas tells the player that you're exactly what he's looking for. He's looking for someone to settle a problem between him and Clavicus. He explains that him and Clavicus had a heated argument and Clavicus has thrown him out. He can only return with someone who can settle the argument, and that's us. Clavicus isn't at full power without Barbas, so he can only appear close to one of his shrines. Barbas tells us there's a cult that worships him in Hamir's Shame, which is located between Helgen and Iverstead. With this information, Barbas and the player set on a great road trip.
If this works out, I'll make sure you're rewarded. And just don't trust any offer he makes you, okay?
Great being sarcasm. You can follow Barbas to the Hamir's Shame, which literally took me 8 minutes, in which I followed Barbas with him randomly stopping and laying down. Also, he walks slower than the player, so if you don't want to lose him, you have to walk at his pace. Additionally, there's bandits and other foes on the road, which makes the trip even longer. But if you've already been to Hamir's Shame, or know where it is, you can fast travel to the location or somewhere close to skip the whole walking trick with Barbas. Once at Hamer's Shame, you'll quickly see that the cave is infested with vampires, and depending on your level, some pretty powerful vampires. Fighting through all the bloodsuckers to the end of the cave, you will see a shrine of Clavicus Vial. It doesn't look exactly like the Oblivion one, but Vial doesn't look super different either. It might just be different building material. Interacting with the shrine will start a conversation with the Daedric Prince, where he jokes about the fact that you killing the vampires had fulfilled their wish of being cured of vampirism, which, I mean, is technically correct, which is the best way of being correct. He then asks what kind of deal you want to make with him.
So, what's your heart's desire? What kind of deal can we strike?
There's multiple options, but the only one that will further the quest is that you're just there to reunite Clavicus and Barbas. At first, Vial hates the idea, but he realizes if he wants to be at full power and to be able to manifest somewhere besides this cave, you'll have to strike a deal with the player.
Beautiful shrine in the back end of nowhere. Well, perhaps there is a way he could earn his place back at my side. Maybe. But no promises.
He asks the player to collect a powerful axe called the Rueful Axe and bring it to him.
An axe. An incredibly powerful axe. An axe powerful enough for me to have quite a bit of fun indeed.
Kind of what we had to do in Oblivion with the Umbra sword. But if we complete this task, he'll take Barbas back and give us his boon, whatever that means. And the axe is located in Rimrock Barrow, which is, only on the opposite of the goddamn map, which means we have to follow Barbas all the way up there just to grab this stupid axe. When we get to Rimrock Barrow, there's a mage known as Sebastian Lort, along with a flame atronach in which we engage in an epic battle with. After that epic battle, we can collect the Rueful Axe, which is lying on the table on the other side of the room. The axe is a unique axe, which means this is the only time you can collect it, and no other weapon in Skyrim looks like this. The axe does look pretty cool, and the enchantment does stamina damage to the enemy, which is pretty cool. It's not as cool as the Umbra sword with all of its backstory, but it's a decent axe if you're looking for a two-handed weapon. With the axe in hand, we can return to Clavicus at Hamer's Shame. Just like the Oblivion quest, Barbas has been hinting at us not to trust Clavicus, which was a good idea because when we talk to Clavicus, he tries to persuade us to keep the axe.
Retrieving the ancient artifact for the prince. It's almost storybook. But it almost seems a shame to give a weapon like that away, doesn't it? I suppose I could be persuaded to let you keep it. But only if you use the axe to kill Barbas. Simple as that.
And the only way we can keep the axe is to kill Barbas. If we kill Barbas, Clavicus will absorb Barbas' spirit and regain full power. He even says that Barbas wouldn't want him to have the axe anyways, so to kill Barbas is the right thing to do. So here is where we can make our decision just like in the Oblivion quest. But this time we can either return the axe or kill Barbas. If we kill Barbas, Clavicus will absorb Barbas and become fully powered. He also tells us that Barbas will be back in a few centuries or so he isn't really dead for realsies.
What you say?
So now, we get to keep the axe, which is cool, but we can't obtain the Mask of Clavicus Vial. So that's kind of the trade-off there. If we decide not to kill Barbas, Clavicus tells us that we're no fun, but he ends up taking Barbas back anyways because he wants to become full powered.
The pup back, I'll be restored to my full power. There's a whole world just waiting for me.
Barbas thanks us for not betraying his trust.
I knew I could trust you. Yeah, dog gets master, master gets cosmic X. Everyone's happy. Just get over
Then
here.
Barbas becomes part of the shrine again.
Don't worry, I'll make sure he sees the light. I trusted you. Now you trust me. Ah, that feels so fine. be done with it. Got more interesting deals to make anyway.
Clavicus begrudgingly gives us the mask after insulting us. In this game, the mask looks less like a random bearded man and looks a little bit more artsy, I guess. And I prefer this look compared to the Oblivion one. The mask also has a pretty good enchantment. It gives you 20% better prices, plus 10 to speechcraft, and if that wasn't enough, it also gives you 5% magic regen for whatever reason. With that, we've finished both quests, and I would say that I prefer the Oblivion quest over the Skyrim quest. I've only played the Oblivion quest a handful of times, but the fact that I didn't have to walk the entire map made it more enjoyable. And it had some lore and world building that the Skyrim quest didn't. The rewards are very similar for both the quests. Skyrim had a better looking Mask of Clavicus vial, and it had better enchantments on it as well compared to that of the Oblivion quest. But overall, I think Oblivion had the better quest. Clavicus vial also didn't change much between the games. The voice became less high-pitched in Skyrim, but both vials had tempers and seemed to be untrustworthy if Barbas wasn't keeping them in check. Barbas' changed voice as well, becoming less of the demonic dog that we saw in Oblivion to just some random dog, I guess, for whatever reason. But yeah, let me know what you think about the quest and which one you liked more in the comments. And let me know what Daedric Quest you would like to see next. But I guess that's it. Bye.